Today we're going to be talking about the area of a triangle. Now, in order to start with the area of a triangle, I'm going to go back to what we learned previously, which is talking about the area of a square. So, I'm going to give you a square right here. Now, in this square, you know the area for a square is length times width. That's our area for a square. So, our square has all equal sides, so we need to multiply the length and the width. So I'm going to give side of 4 to our square. So if we want to find the area of our square, we need to multiply the length and the width. We know that all the sides are 4. We just simply plug it in. Area equals 4 times 4. The area of our square is 16 units squared. That's how we find the area of a square. Hopefully, you're familiar with that, and it's not too confusing. So now that we found the area of a square, what I want to do is I want to talk about today's topic, which is the area of a rectangle. Sorry, a triangle. Excuse me. Area of a triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and divide my square in 2. On a diagonal line, right here. Just like that. Now, I've divided my square in half, and it forms 2 triangles, and they are equal. Now, the area of my square that I found, 16 square units, was all of this right here, and all of this right here. All of this blue together is 16 square units. Now, it goes to show and reason that if I divided my square in half, and now I have 2 triangles, the area of each one would go from, if all this is 16, 1/2 of 16 would be 8. Exactly right. 8. So each one of these would have an area of 8 because I've divided my square in half. And so each one of these triangles, this one right here and this one right here, have an area of 8. Which begs the question, could you simply say, to find the area of a triangle, take the area of a square and divide it in half? That's absolutely right. So let's take a look. To find the area of our triangle, it's going to be 1/2, and I want you to write this formula down, 1/2, and then it's same as our square. But we don't call it length and width when we talk about triangles, because that's not going to make much sense. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to call it base and height. So, it's pretty simple to find the base of a triangle. In fact, many obtuse and acute triangles could have any base as long as you know how to find it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what the base is first. How to find that base. Take a triangle. I'm going to draw an obtuse triangle right here. I say obtuse because the angle is an obtuse angle, meaning more than 90 degrees, this angle on the inside. So I took this triangle, and my base is going to be the side of the triangle that's basically flat on the ground. It needs to be flat. It needs to be straight. Like we're taking a triangle and we're setting it down flat. You can't set down a triangle like this. It doesn't work very well. You have to set down your triangle flat. The base has to be lying flat. So we set our base down here. Now, this triangle, I could take it and turn it And now this will become my base. If I set it down this way, that works, absolutely. Or I could pick it up and turn it and set it down that way, and that will become my base. Sure. Now that works, but you need to pick a base. And that base is going to be your bottom. So, let's establish a base for this one. I'm going to give you a triangle right here. I'll draw a little bit bigger one. So in this triangle right here, this is our base. You're going to multiply the base times the height. So I'll even label this guy base. You're going to multiply the base times the height. To find the height, you want to go to the highest point in your triangle. That's this guy right here. It's called the vertex. And you want to draw a straight line straight down. So it becomes perpendicular to the base. So your height that you draw straight down, much like a parallelogram, will become perpendicular to the base. Now, in most of the work you're going to see today, the base and the height are going to be given to you. The base will be selected for you, and they'll show you the height the same way with that dotted line. But you want it to run perpendicular to the base. It meets at a 90-degree angle. There are two ways we can show the base, and I want to show you that right now. The first way, and I'll use this space over here, I'll give you this triangle. We go to our highest point, which is our vertex, and on the inside, they draw a line, 90-degree angle, and this right here is our height, from the highest point to the base. You could also, in the case of an obtuse triangle, draw the base on the outside of the triangle. Look at this like a giant ramp. Let's say let's take my current amazing ramping skills. Let's say I snowboard on the weekends. So if I were to snowboard, which I do quite frequently, I'll go ahead and go down, I'll hit this jump, I'm going to go up the jump, I'm going to go up the jump, I'm going to go up the jump, and here's the path I'm going to take after I hit the jump.
And you're going to fall.
And so I hit perpendicular, 90-degree angle with the ground.
And you fall and hit your head.
Because the amount of momentum I had going up that jump was 0. I was like, I got it, and then I slowed down, and then it went like that. I was like, I don't got it. So from the highest point, I went straight down. Straight is the key term, so this is also our height. You can draw it on the outside as well. So, let's try a couple of examples of actually finding the area. I'm going to give you the base and the height. I'm going to do this one over here. So, actually, I'm going to draw out an acute triangle. Here's my acute triangle. Now, I need to establish a base first. Obviously, there's no way I can lie this flat. It's not shaped flat yet. So I need to decide which one is going to be my base. So, I can see here that we'll go ahead and make this a right angle, which means that this is perpendicular. So let's make this my base. I said it was an acute triangle. I apologize. It's going to be a right triangle now. Changed my mind. Well, let's make this my base. We'll give my base 8. And we'll make this my height. We know we can make it my height because it is a right triangle, and we'll say this one is 7. Okay? I'll give you one more after this. So the area we're going to write first, the formula. So what is the formula for area? We're going to do this together. It's pretty simple. It is 1/2 base times height. And I'm going to write it down, and then we're going to do it together. 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height. Now, you'll do it with me. 1/2
base times height.
1/2
Base times height.
1/2.
Base times height.
1/2.
Base times height.
Now, I'll leave you to the 1/2, so
1/2.
base times height.
1/2.
Base times height?
1/2.
Base times height.
1/2.
Base
One-half.
base times height.
1/2.
Base times height.
1/2.
Base times height.
1/2.
We'll stop there. Now you really understand. Now you really understand the formula. You have it ingrained inside of you. We're going to take a look at our base and our height here. So if our base is 8 and our height is 7, we're going to multiply them together and we're going to end up with 56. So we have 1/2 times 56. You know that when you multiply something by 1/2, it is the same thing as dividing it by 2. Thank you. When you multiply something by 1/2, it's the same thing as dividing it by 2. So 1/2 times 56 is the same thing as 56 divided by 2, which means our area will be 28 units squared, or square units. Now I want to do one more with you before we move on. This next one I want to do, we'll do one more. This one will be an obtuse triangle. I'll put this one up here. Run out of room there. Okay. That'll work. This is my base. My base is going to be 6. I don't have a height, so I need to make one. Obviously, they're going to give it to you. I'll go to my vertex, straight down. They're going to give me a height, and my height of this one is going to be 9. My height is going to be 9. So, when we look at 9 times 6, which is what we want, so we'll do our area formula. You get this, area formula. 1/2 base times height. I apologize, it looks like a 6. So 9 times 6. And 9 times 6, as you know,
54.
54.
54.
Thank you. So if you take 54 and you multiply it by 1/2, you're going to end up with 27 units squared. That's your area.